Hello and welcome to the Genuine Learning Blog. My name is Melissa Galasso, and this has been a week unlike any other. So this week we're going to just call this week's blog This Week in A&A, and we are not even there. As I am taping this Wednesday evening for airing tomorrow on Thursday, we have had one heck of a day. No shortage of things to talk about, so let's dive on in. In this very short week, we've had a couple of big things come out. The NAC, the Not-for-Profit Advisory Committee, which is I am proud to serve on, had their meeting. It was supposed to happen in March, but due to obviously some COVID-19 issues, we had to push it back. So we had our first meeting of 2020, which was my first NAC meeting ever. And I got to try out the new Zoom features for FASB. So it was an awesome meeting. Obviously, we talked COVID and the impact on nonprofit entities, in particular hospitals and educational institutions. We also talked about some of the guidance related to these new loans that are out there and potential forgiveness and how we're going to apply ASU 2018-08. We also talked about the gifts in kind proposal. So the valuation and the reporting related to contributed non-financial assets. That comment deadline is coming up, and so we talked a little bit about what was in the proposal, how we felt about it, but also they asked whether we should extend the comment period. I personally said we didn't think it was necessary, predominantly because it's very niche standard, and while it will impact some entities pretty significantly, it just seems like this is not the time that people are going to be focusing, and no matter how much more time you give them right now, it's just not going to become a priority. And the standard is designed to help people, and so getting it out faster just seems to be more important. So that was my personal opinion. We also talked leases, and that kind of gave us a little bit of an introduction of what would happen today at the FASB meeting. So today, April 8th, you guys are going to be watching this tomorrow, April 9th, but today, this evening, FASB had their first virtual meeting of the board. It was very impressive. It was just about an hour long, and they covered a variety of things. It was our very first meeting trying out this new ability. They have come up with a really cool Zoom screen background, so it looks like they're in the boardroom while still following all of the social distancing rules. They are going to issue a proposal for private companies and not-for-profit organizations, both those that have conduit debt and those that do not, with an optional 1-year effective date delay of the lease standard. And this is going to be huge because for many of the universities and the hospitals who have the upcoming 6/30 year end, if they had conduit debt, they are supposed to be adopting leases in this year. However, this would give them an additional year to start working on that project, given they are most impacted by COVID. It also gives private nonprofit and private companies another year in addition to the year that they got from ASU 2019-10. So that is a big one. This is expecting to have a 15-day comment period, so very quick turnaround so that they can issue this and move on to other standard setting. They also gave private company franchisors a 1-year deferral of their revenue recognition standards. You're probably saying, well, that was already effective in December. Yes, it is, but they're giving private entities another year to adopt the revenue recognition standard. In addition to doing that, they also added a project to their research agenda to see if there was any way that they could simplify some of the more difficult areas. So that is something that they'll be working on during that delay. So what are we expecting coming down the pike? Russ Golden did give a little bit of an update at the end. Marcia gave a really, kind of valiant talk about how they understand where people are coming from and what's going on in the economy and the world around us and how that's really impacting our ability to adopt standards. So a couple of things that they told us are coming down the pike. A lease Q&A document to help with how we're going to handle some of these things that are happening right now. So lessors who are giving unprecedented is the term that they use, concessions, right? How do you handle those concessions if you're following topic either 840 or topic 842? So they're going to put together a Q&A document. They're also going to provide other crisis-related issues, interest, income, and loan payment holidays, hedging, fair value. How do you adjust and consider the the pandemic and the crisis under this. So you'll see some implementation questions there. And then also for those of you who have been following, the Small Business Administration is now offering loans. However, these are potentially forgivable loans. And so there's been a request for some additional consideration on the accounting for that. So as you can see, while they are giving us some additional time, they've also had quite a few questions come in specifically related to COVID. What they did tell us, though, besides working on COVID, working on the delay, and they're going to finish the gifts in kind project for nonprofits, they are going to temporarily suspend issuance of exposure drafts and public outreach. So they're not going to, even if they're ready right now, they're going to wait until the second half of 2020 once things have calmed down to resume that standard setting process. They actually canceled all of their April meetings besides this one in order to devote time to implementation and answering questions in these staff type documents. They're postponing the May 8th, 2020 public leases roundtable, which was already postponed, in order to be able to give it more time to, again, to have that opportunity to be out of that second quarter of 2020, and then additional transition guidance for future standards. So they obviously hit leases and RevRec pretty hard, but there are other standards that are coming that could be potentially very large for certain entities, and they might have trouble making that transition. So they are coming down the pike. So FASB has answered a lot of our questions today. We know GASB has their meeting coming up on April 14th. So be on the lookout for an update from that next week. And then the AICPA has their meeting scheduled on April 20th to consider delays in their standard. I have not yet heard about Yellow Book. That's one of the more common questions that I'm getting right now. We don't know if they're going to consider their Yellow Book 2018 is technically effective for June 30, 2020. So we kind of have to wait and see about that one. In addition, today, SAS 140 was issued, which is related to Yellow Book and uniform guidance in the application in the compliance audit of section of standard AUC section 700 and the changes from SAS 134. So how are we going to apply those changes in SAS 134 to compliance audits and a variety of other items? It also addresses supplemental information and required supplemental information. So there's quite a bit going on, as you can probably imagine right now. So they're hitting these pretty hard. So be on the lookout for that. And we will continue to monitor this and keep you up to date on what's happening in the ANA world. Whew, that was a lot of information. So thank you guys so much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you on a future blog. Have a great day, guys. Bye-bye.